Hey guys, this is Philip Fortenberry with Fatherhood Revolution. So the last couple of days we've been talking about that spiritual blindness, about not knowing exactly what it is and how it is that we need to inquire of the Lord. I gave you an example of how that worked out in my own life in the last couple of days, and I wanted to also, I alluded yesterday that I would talk to you some about how that all transpired whenever I began to pray and inquire of the Lord and ask Him to show me what it was that I couldn't see. And what happened was that my pastor preached a sermon telling us that we should ask God to show us our sin, show us those things that we couldn't see. And I began to do that. And at first I was just doing it really out of obedience. I didn't have a whole lot of feeling for it. I kind of felt like, how could you sin and not know it? You can go down the 10 Commandments and well, if I take God's name in vain, I know I've sinned. If I shoot and kill somebody, I know I've sinned. If I commit adultery, I know I've sinned. But guys, I want you to know that you can be deceived. Sometimes people think, no, I can't be deceived. Well, if you think you can't be deceived, you're under deception already, because any of us can be deceived. And those verses that I shared yesterday, I encourage you to go back and watch that video. But that a man who holds hatred in his heart and stumbled about in the darkness, he doesn't know where he's going, for the darkness has blinded his eyes. And that Jesus talked about that blindness, and the Apostle Paul talked about that darkness. It causes our sun to set. And I'll tell you that happened to me, and it can happen to you. And so if you don't believe that, then just go read the last two verses of Psalm 139. King David, the man who killed Goliath, the anointed king of the nation of Israel, said, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." So King David admitted that there were things that he possibly couldn't see. If he couldn't see it, the only man in the Bible described after a man after God's own heart, then I'll tell you, it could happen to you. It happened to me too. And so how that unfolded was I began praying that in my quiet time, just really out of obedience. But eventually that prayer mutated into something more of not just an obedient, but truly yearning and wanting to know something was wrong. God, if there's something between you and me that is wrong and I can't see it, I need you to show me what it is. Show me my sin. Or if there's something between me and my fellow man that's keeping me from drawing close to you, I need you to show me what it is. Show me my sin. And when the Lord answered that prayer, guys, He did it in a very supernatural way at a Promise Keepers meeting. It was fall of '96 in Texas Stadium. And I'll tell you, it was just an amazing event. The whole event was amazing. But the second to the last speaker spoke on the Father and the Son. And we were instructed to go to prayer. And the MC came out saying that he had a word from the Lord and that we were supposed to get on our knees to pray. And in obedience, I did that. And I looked back at my buddy Joe, who was embraced with his father, and they were both weeping profusely. And I bowed my head and closed my eyes. Really, I was full of envy for Joe, wishing my dad was there, but my dad wasn't there. And as I went to prayer, I got hit in the back of the head with what felt like a clay vessel, and I could feel the oil of God pouring all over me, and I heard the audible voice of God that day. And this is what He said to me: "Philip, it's not your father's sin that's holding you back, it's your own sin. It's your hatred, your unforgiveness, if you will, your bitterness, your dishonor, disrespect, and disobedience." And so in the middle of 50,000 men in Texas Stadium, God answered my prayer, and He showed me my sin. Something that I couldn't see. I couldn't see it. All I could see was what my father had done. And I had prayed seemingly 1,000 times trying to forgive my dad. But that day, guys, that's not what I prayed. That day I prayed 3 words that totally changed my life. And those 3 words were, "Father, forgive me." Now I've confessed my sin. And God is faithful and just to forgive and to cleanse me from all unrighteousness. And as I laid on the ground weeping, I continued my prayer with these words: "And as you have forgiven me, I forgive him." And it was over. 23 years of carrying hatred. 365 days a year times 23 is a big number, guys. And I was guilty of that, and I was blind to it. And all I had done for years and years and years and years was pray to forgive my dad. But you want to know what I learned that day? I was the one that needed the forgiveness. Me. It wasn't what he had done to me, it was my reaction to what he had done to me. And I'll tell you that it totally set me free. And as I laid there weeping, I continued that prayer As you have forgiven me, I forgive him and ask that you bless him, have mercy on him. And I was done. But it was over. And after that, guys, I reconciled with my father, and we enjoyed a good relationship for the next 6 months. And then he died of a heart attack. And so I just want to encourage you. Oftentimes people teach in the church that it's a decision of the will. You just have to decide. The Bible doesn't say that, guys. It's not a decision of our will. It is a complete and utter surrender of our will. But that complete and utter surrender of our will not occur until I recognize I need the same mercy he needs. God, forgive me. And as you've forgiven me, I forgive him. That'll set you free. So this is Philip Fortenberry with Fatherhood Revolution, about to sign off. And when you go on your great adventures, don't forget the kid next door who has no father. He needs you. And I used to be that kid.